In daring to single out 10 British albums for first-class treatment, Royal Mail has ventured into a debate that's occupied musos and pollsters for years, the quest to establish which are the greatest album covers. A Royal Mail panel consulted hundreds of polls, music editors and industry bods and came up with these. One of the designers of the artwork for Bowie's breakthrough album of '72, which went platinum here and in the States, says the cover still gets fan mail.
That LP really made him a star, and within 6 months of it being released, he couldn't really go out in public.
There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he blew our minds.
I get an amount of emails from people asking me if there are any secret meanings behind the images on the cover, which, as far as I know, there aren't any. But I think people like to have this sort of slight conspiracy theory about things, that there are deep meanings behind maybe the way Bowie was standing or the colours used.
Today, in the converted railway station she first rented as an art student in the 60s and still works from, documentary photographer Penny Smith recalls capturing what's been hailed as the ultimate rock and roll moment, Paul Simonon's Abandon with a Bass, used for London Calling, the '79 album cover from The Clash, now with its own tribute in miniature.
As I was bored and standing around thinking they really don't need any more live pictures, I watched him and he just looked really, really cross, and I just thought, hang on a minute, this isn't Paul. One of the road crew went in, I think probably to rescue the bass rather than stop Paul, and I got one shot with the bass half behind the road crew, and then I moved around the road crew and got that one shot, and that was it.
She approves of all the covers selected. Led Zepp 4, which sold 32 million copies despite having no mention of the band on the front. Primal Scream's Psychedelic Sunburst from Screamadelica in '91. And the Stones' 1969 cover, Let It Bleed, with a cake topping provided by budding chef Delia Smith. But having worked with all those bands mentioned, Penny Smith, like many, believes the decline of the 12-inch vinyl did for album cover art.
I think, unfortunately, it's a lost art. It just isn't a thing anymore. I mean, it used to be great when you got the album cover. You could prop it up. You looked at it while the album was on. If you got a dire track, you could flip it over, read the album notes at the time, you know, when it's on, and then sort of go back to looking at it, pop it in the corner, and you've got something else again. Now it's a sort of flimsy bit of old paper in a CD, or, you know, nothing on your computer.
But then the album itself is under siege, confirmed by latest figures released by the BPI today. It's now nearly 4 decades since the release of this David Bowie album, which has found its way onto a postage stamp. And as the terrain has changed, so is the music industry. Album sales are in decline, dropping year on year for the past 5 years. But David Bowie and Paul Simonon both have reasons to celebrate a first today. No living famous person, apart from royalty, is supposed to appear on a stamp. Both these musicians are clearly still alive and kicking.